welcome to the first in a series of Q&A sessions with the Phantoms. We'll be talking with the Phantoms players throughout the season and getting to know them better. We want to know what you want to know. So watch out for posts asking for your questions. Make sure you submit them to us in time and we'll try to fit them in for you. Before we get started with this Q&A, just want to remind you to hit like and subscribe. And we also want to say thanks to our premier sponsor for 25-26, Wendy's. We love ourselves a Wendy's. First in the hot seat, teams are often built from the back, so we decided we'd start with our number one netminder, number 30, Hayden Lavigne. Hayden Lavigne, welcome. First of all, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me. It's always nice to kind of be here and talk about the upcoming season.
For sure. Now, obviously, we've got some questions from fans that have been submitted, and we'll get to those in just a moment. But tell us what you've been doing since the end of last season.
Yeah, so mainly work and preparing for this year. Took a couple little holidays abroad, which was nice. A couple trips to Italy and Prague. So that was kind of cool. It was part of our whole reason for moving over here was to just kind of get to travel Europe a little bit easier with it being so accessible right there. So it's been a good balance of a little bit of holiday, a little bit of work, and some training. So it's been good.
That's fantastic. For those who don't know, you live over in the UK now, don't you? So you're not traversing the Atlantic through the summer.
No. Last May, so May 2024, we moved over full time. So live and work over here full time.
That's great. Cool. So that means as well that I suppose it gives you a bit of a jump into the new season in a way, doesn't it? That it gives you a little bit more time to prepare, and because you're already settled in the place you already are, for the season.
Yeah, it definitely takes like that moving aspect out of it. I know, like kind of before last year and this year, at the beginning of every season, you move to a new city and move into a new apartment or house like 2 weeks before the season starts and have to get everything acclimated, everything set up. So it's kind of nice that everything's done, dealt with, and now I just get to roll into training camp and preseason.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess, with that in mind, I guess we should probably go to the first question we have, which is submitted by Callie Bryce. Just saying, a nice simple question from your number one fan. Have you had a good summer? From Lorian. And
thanks, Lauren.
Picture there to go with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's from Robo's testimonials. So that's great. Thanks, Lauren. It's been a really good summer. It's been a hot one. So I definitely don't miss the aircon that every building has back in North America. But it's been good. Like I said, a little bit of travel, some training and work kind of mixed in there. It's been nice to have the weekends back to be able to spend them with my wife, but at the same time, itching to get back to the hockey season as well.
No, for sure. And I suppose it must be trying to think how when you've got that because you are settled, I guess, and you've been able to spend that bit of time as well, then I guess you are sort of feeling pretty comfortable, I imagine, then in terms of your day-to-day life.
Yeah, this feels like our home now, which is nice. We've got our own place and everything set up, and with it being kind of our home base, aside from weekends in Peterborough for games and stuff, it's kind of nice to kind of get a routine going with work during the weeks and training in the mornings or the evenings, and then coming home and spending the weekends together.
Cool. No, that's great. Okay, so we've got a few questions here that have been asked regarding your beginnings in hockey and your reasons for wanting to perhaps become a netminder. So we'll go into the first couple of those. So one from Hannah Muffet that says, "What got you into ice hockey, and how long have you been playing?"
Oh, to be honest, it's so long ago that I don't really know what got me into it. Neither of my parents were big hockey fans or anything like that, but apparently at the age of 4, I asked to play. I guess that's just being Canadian from Toronto area. It's running in my blood. So at 4 and 5, I did learn to skates. I think 5, I did my first year of hockey. And then at 6 was when I did my first year as a goalie and stayed as a goalie ever since. So it's been, goodness gracious, was that 23 years as a goalie, 27 years playing hockey.
Yeah, so obviously I got another question here from that was submitted by Amy, but it was actually from Izzy, so age 7, who asked why did you want to first start playing hockey and how old were you? So you kind of answered that there along with that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's a fair amount of time. So you I mean, from I guess your decision then obviously to come to the UK. Tell us about that and sort of what initially brought you over here.
Yeah, so I have my British passport. So I did my first 2 years of pro kind of all around North America, bounced around a lot of teams in different leagues from the AHL to the ECHL, and kind of all across the US and a little bit into Canada. And then having my British passport, came over to play Manchester. My first like original reason for it was to come over and do my 2 years, qualify for the national team, be able to be eligible for the national team. Did my first year, some ups and downs, but overall it was a good first year in the UK. Was planning on coming back, and then during the off season things kind of took a change. Ended up back in the US, and then so ever since then was just kind of looking for a way to get back over. Just the lifestyle from when we lived in Manchester, we really liked that, and being so close to Europe was a big reason to move over kind of full time. So and then when the opportunity came for like work and hockey to kind of align really well for both of those, it was from a family standpoint, filled our needs for like being able to travel Europe and stable career, somewhere to make a home finally because we were tired of all the moving around that North America required. So yeah, so that's what brought us over full time.
That's no, it's good. And obviously, coming to Peterborough last season as well. So you've obviously had time to get used to, I guess, the ups and downs, the rigors, I guess, of the season, and also what the standard, and obviously adjusting to that because obviously playing at a higher level before. I've got a question here from Mike Yates. It says, "Are you preparing differently for this season? Now you know what to expect from the league. Obviously, having played a season now."
Yeah, I don't think the preparation's not any different because like my game in itself hasn't changed. I think just going into the season, hopefully we can mitigate some of the learning curves that were at the start of last season. Understanding the style of play a little bit more and how the teams fluctuate, and each team's style of play, I think should take some of those question marks out of it going into every game. Kind of at the start last year, it was like, okay, how does this team play? And I really noticed that in this league compared to other leagues, the style of play and the systems vary so drastically. So now it's kind of like I have an understanding of kind of roughly what to expect from each team. Obviously, things will change with the offseason and as new teams get built and players change teams and stuff like that. But I think preparation wise, it's all the same. It just kind of eases that learning curve into the start of the year that every team and every player has.
Yeah, I suppose there's yes, there's physical things, but I guess the technical stuff maybe is stuff that I guess every player has to work on, and obviously there's all a lot of mental stuff that goes into preparation, isn't there?
Yeah. Still doing like all the same training and stuff like that. It's really just the mental aspect of it is what's going to be the biggest differentiator compared to last year. Just knowing what to expect adds a little bit more confidence going into each game, especially since I think my second half of the season last year was quite a big step up from my first half. So I think you could see even just last year kind of getting accustomed to the league and the style of play. So hopefully now we can just kind of keep that riding into this year.
No doubt. Now we did actually have another question on Facebook, which I haven't pulled through here, but there was a question from Roger Hughes that asked consistency was maybe not necessarily for you specifically, but maybe generally as a team. But he put consistency was a little bit more of an issue early in the early goings. Have you for like last season? How do you resolve that? How have you worked on that? Because obviously, like you say, the latter half of the season definitely was an improvement, certainly in your play.
Yeah, so a couple things. Obviously, like I'm not making any excuses, but moved over, started a new career, and then new league, new team. So there's a lot of variables in there that just kind of seemed to take the first half of the season to learn how to manage kind of all those different aspects of my life that were playing into it. And I felt like towards the second half of the season, I had a good routine, good schedule down that kind of put the energy and the time where it needed to be for each week and for the weekends. So just kind of having an understanding of how my work and my new life and all the travel in this league kind of fits in together is what ultimately I think led to kind of that more consistent gameplay in the second half of last year. And so now, like I said, that kind of learning curve of kind of figuring out how to balance all those things for this upcoming season is gone. I understand kind of where things fall and how to time manage those certain things. So I'm fully expecting to kind of just pick up where I left off last year in terms of consistency.
That's great to hear. So I mean, obviously, one of the things we've for Phantom specifically from last season to this season, we've obviously seen a number of changes, most notably with Slava moving on and Ash coming in. Have you had chance to speak to Ash yet?
Yeah, we kind of touched base really briefly. Nothing kind of too serious, you know. I think we're gonna kind of leave that for training camp. Let's kick off here in a few weeks and just kind of sit down as a whole team and kind of go through what our team identity and our goals are going to be. And so we'll have a good feel for that kind of coming up shortly here.
That's great, and of course, the league itself has changed a little bit as well. With unfortunately the bees not being able to hang around, but we've got with Bison obviously coming in. So that should be an interesting new challenge. Have you ever had any experience with the Bison from before, previously?
I have not. I've heard not such great things about their arena either, but you know, people say the same thing about ours, and I love it.
Well,
So
I
maybe
would
it'll
say
feel
for the
like a home away
record,
from home.
their rink has definitely gotten better lately. Obviously, with the work that's been going on. So, oh,
Okay.
cool. Right, we'll move on to another question that's been submitted here by Isaac Clark. It says, "What do you guys think as a team would be a successful season, and also what are your personal goals for the season?"
Yeah, I think as a team, I mean, my experience like Peterborough is just the last 2 seasons. So I think you look at kind of what's been accomplished in those 2 seasons. Our expectations are kind of the same, if not better. You know, making it to the finals last year and then obviously winning it the year before. That's where the expectation, that's what a successful season is. I think this year, like, there's 3 trophies up for grabs. So instead of just shooting for that one at the end of the year, it'd be great to be in the hunt for like the cup and the season cup and kind of the league play. So I think if we're not in the hunt for all 3 trophies, that would be kind of a letdown. I think we've got the team, and hopefully with Ash as coach, you know, he seems very motivated and dedicated. So I think we have putting ourselves in a good situation to be competitive for all 3 of those trophies. And I think that's what ultimately is going to be a good season for team wise. Personally, you know, I'm looking to just improve on last year. Like we touched on earlier, kind of that consistency. So if I can keep what happened the second half of last season and the first half of this season, kind of keep that going, I think that in itself is going to lead to a much better overall, like 54 games for me. So that's just kind of keep picking up where I left off and then continue to kind of slowly improve. And that's what I'm looking to do, and kind of keep our team in games and make sure we're competitive.
That's great. And I guess from a personal goal perspective, it's from general conversations I have with various players, it tends to not be a kind of putting a number on like how many wins or how many goals and like that. It's more just a case of certainly from within the Phantoms. I can't speak for other teams, but it seems to be more a case of, you know, we're here for the team, and the team, when the team wins, we all do well. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I think like that's exactly what it is. And even like everything that I've always been taught in hockey is like when the team wins, like everybody else gets their opportunities elsewhere as well. I think just like putting aside my own numbers and stats and stuff, and like at the end of the day, I'm there for the team. So my job is to keep the team in games, whether that's win 6-5 and make that one extra big save that we need to win 6-5, or win 1-0. Like, to me, like, those numbers don't really matter. It's the win, and that's just going to come from making sure that I'm prepared and ready to keep our team competitive in the game as best I can.
That's fantastic. Cool. Right, so we'll go to another question. This is a bit light-hearted, but you'll enjoy this. How many slabs of beer do you think Box 7 will be buying you this season? So I'm guessing he's talking about man of the matches.
Yeah,
Just bribes.
I think it's shutouts. It's shutouts, is it not?
Oh, yes, it could well be. Yeah, you're right.
So I believe it's shutouts. So last year with 2, I mean, I'm aiming for more than 2 this year. So anything north of 2 will be a win for me. Don't worry, they'll be shared as well. I won't take all of them.
Listen, you're a goalie. Everybody expects you to do the whole lot. We have another question as well. Then, just going back to sort of like your own decisions within hockey. Yeah, Emma Saxton asks, "Is there any reason you chose a number 30?"
There is actually. So I always, like, growing up, I never wore 30. I used to hate the number. I wore kind of everything else. I wore 1, I wore 41, I wore 60, I wore 40. I wore 21 year. I ended up in 30 because one of my years in juniors, I got traded mid-season. When you get traded mid-season, you don't get to pick your number like you do at the start of a year. You just kind of get thrown whatever the extra jersey they have, what number it has. So for me, that was 30. I ended up having a really good second half of that season with that team. Went back to that team the next year, so kept the same number. And then that was right before I went into university. So I had a season and a half of really good, consistent play going into my first year of university. And I was like, well, I can't change it now. So then I kept 30 all through university. And then it's been, ever since then, in my pro career, when I get the choice to pick my number, it's been 30.
That is cool because obviously traditionally 30 is of course usually a goalie number is usually at 30 ranges. Do you know?
Yeah.
Have any ideas why that is?
So I think it was back in the day when they didn't like get to choose any number. So before like players got to choose kind of whatever number they wanted, the teams would just mass produce the jerseys numbered 1 through I think it was like 31 based on the roster size. And so 1, 30, and 31 were always reserved for the goalies, and the players would fill out the numbers in between. They would fill out the other 28 on that list. So that's kind of how it worked.
I see. So you're being a slightly sort of against the grain by not wanting to wear it in the.
Yeah, I was always trying to be different. My favorite goalies growing up too always wore like Yaroslav Halak was one of my favorites. He wore 41. Jose Theodore wore 60. So that's where I wore that. I played for the same team as one of my sister's friends who actually ended up going to the NHL. So I played for one of the same youth teams as him. So I wore his number that year because he was kind of like one of my idols growing up. And then, 30 just kind of found its way onto my back. And I had such good years that I couldn't switch away from it.
No, that's fair enough. You've got this year, obviously, you've still got Luke Clark, sort of as another one of your part of your net minding partner. But obviously, we've also got Ryan Bainborough sort of coming back in and sort of helping in the rotation. So obviously, with the three of you, have you all managed to get together yet at all? I know there's obviously plenty of time. It's still sort of early mid-August. So.
Yeah, we haven't all been together yet. Besides Robson's testimonial, we were all together for that. Kind of sat in the same corner of the locker room, so that was kind of good. So when I saw that Ryan had re-signed to come back, I was pumped. Like that was the first time that I met him, and we just kicked it off really well there. So it's exciting to have kind of another guy full time with the team. When like Clarkie's down with the second team or vice versa. I think it'd just be good. Like Luke and Ryan are both great guys, so I think it's just going to be a really good like goalie relationship kind of in that locker room and on the ice. So I'm looking forward to it.
No, definitely. It'll be good as well. Ryan has always been a really good goalie. I think, to be honest, he's always played sort of below his standard, as it were. Like even with Phantoms, he was traditionally sort of with the national team, I should say, that it was he was backing up rather, but it definitely could have been a starter, and whatever works for him is what's best. But it's nice to see with the three of you. I think hopefully you should all get a good. They should still get a good look. Hopefully you're not expecting to be taking all 50 or plus games the whole season through.
Yeah, last year is the most I've ever played in 1 year, so I wouldn't mind sharing the net a little bit. Obviously, I came to play, but
we don't hear that often from goalies either. Most of the time, they just want to play every single game. So, but I think it is important for you for longevity to be able to
I think
have a breather, rest a little bit.
54 games plus 4 preseason games plus what do we end up playing? 10 postseason games. So it's like 68 games last year. I think I missed 4 of them. 3 or 4 of them. It's a lot. Your body takes a beating for sure.
Definitely. Okay, well, I'll go back to the questions that were submitted. So just sort of thinking back, sort of going back. One of the questions from Lucas Bates here asks, who was your inspiration as a child to become a netminder? Who really inspired you? Obviously, you mentioned like Halak and Theodore.
Yeah, so I didn't really have like an inspiration to first become a goalie. That happened in like mites, or like they call it house league. So in Canada, your like first year or two of hockey, everybody kind of plays every position. And my team was really, really bad. We lost like every single game. The one game that it was my turn to go on net, we ended up winning 1-0. And so then in my head, it clicked. It was like, oh, well, the only way to ever win is to go in net and just never get scored on. And so that was at the age of 5. So that when I was 6, that's when I became a full-time goalie. Once I kind of started playing and I was a goalie, my inspirations, like my idols in the NHL, were Jose Theodore, the Canadiens, Yaroslav Halak when he was on the Canadiens, and then Roberto Luongo was like one of my favorite through his entire career, just from his like social presence. He's just like a very like relaxed, like funny guy, and so those were kind of my idols growing up. Like once I had been in it, but nobody was really an inspiration to start, but they were the inspirations to keep going.
You mentioned obviously about those guys, obviously particularly the Canadiens guys. Were you a Habs fan then growing up? Because obviously from Toronto, that would be a bit of a stray odd situation.
Yeah. No, I wasn't a Habs fan. I think it's just because of the proximity. It's like them, Toronto and Ottawa were the ones that were aired on our local TV networks, so they were just the most frequent teams that I got to watch, and then they were just my favorite goalies out of the bunch.
Cool. Now I do want to ask you. I know when we spoke last summer, we did a little sort of this kind of thing about a pre-season sort of get to know you, and we mentioned about the fact that you went to Michigan, to UMich there, and obviously the caliber of the guys that you played with there were some really standout guys, NHL players now, and is there any sort of lasting memories or any tales you can tell of experiences you had there with them?
Oh, I mean, there's a lot. I could talk your ear off for hours, kind of going back and living through what I would consider like the glory days. It's hard to pick like any one. I think the biggest one that I can remember actually I'm trying to think, my third year university, Johnny Beecher, who now plays for the Bruins. It was our last practice before the first game of regular season. Probably like the second or third shot in practice, Johnny comes down, warm-up drill, takes a hard wrist shot. He could shoot the puck so hard. Just a hard wrist shot from like top of the circles. Hits me square in the forehead. And I went down and I was like, oh man, that really hurt. And then I was like, that hurt more than it normally does. And then eventually I was like, okay, I should probably get back up. Like practice is still going on. Finally, like sit back up and I look down and there's like a pool of blood on the ice. And I had split like my eyebrow, like clean across, right before like our home opener, like 3 minutes into practice. And it was just kind of like my first realization. I was like, man, and he was it was his first year in university. So I was like, man, this guy can really shoot the puck. And it was like, for me, when I saw it, like, that was my experience. I was like, he's going to be able to like shoot the puck like that in the NHL someday. And then he's been so good. That's just like one, because it's like kind of so vivid in my memory. There's so many. Just getting in practice with those guys and like seeing the skill level that they had, it was truly like you almost can't put it into words until you see it up close. It's phenomenal things they could do, like skating wise and like with a puck on their stick, and it was crazy. It was a really good experience.
That's awesome. I mean, obviously you probably noticed my Vancouver Canucks jersey up there. Obviously you mentioned Roberto Luongo, and I do fully agree with you. The guy is hilarious. I mean, obviously an outstanding goalie, but the guy is hilarious. So yeah. But obviously Quinn Hughes being another guy that you crossed paths with as well, right?
Yeah. He might be the best skater I've ever seen. It was phenomenal. I remember when he came in, everyone was like, "Oh, he's too small. He's not going to last. Like he's in college hockey playing against men." And just like his ability to accelerate out of turns and like leave guys behind him was crazy. I think his first year, I think I got 3 or 4 assists that year just by stopping the puck behind the net and letting him go score. It was just like, yeah, it was super cool. And I think like getting to play with guys like that really puts it into perspective, like just how good those like top tier players really are.
And I guess, I mean, how obvious is it even at that level that at that time that these guys are special enough to make it to the show?
Yeah, you could see, like when they would come in kind of right off the hop, they fit like right into the top echelon of college hockey. There's like no question about it. It was just kind of a matter of like when they're going to make it there, not if they're going to make it there. Some guys would do it in a year, some would 2, some 3, but you could all tell from like that first month of practice, you're like, this guy's going to be an NHL player.
Well, listen, we won't focus too much on the NHL and the guys from your past now. We've obviously got your present and short-term future at the very least. I mean, what was probably the biggest thing that you learned from this last season?
I think it was really kind of touched on it earlier. It was really just how to manage my time. It's the first time that like hockey hasn't been my full time job. This is the first time that I've kind of had to balance like two responsibilities from a performance and like mental stamina aspect. So I think really just figuring out how to time manage those things, as well as the commuting that was involved. I was so used to like being on a team bus all the time and sleeping on the team bus and like hotels and stuff like that. So it's the first time that like I was working Monday to Friday and then driving to practice on Wednesdays and Fridays and then driving to away games myself or with our carpool from Nottingham or like so it's just really figuring out kind of what it took to balance all that and how sometimes like sleep was the most important thing or like a little extra work at practice was the most important thing. So it was really just fine tuning kind of what it takes to be at my peak when there's added variables that have never been in my pro hockey career before.
I mean, it is definitely something, I guess, that's sort of like you said, because the workload was certainly more significant than previously. I guess there is sort of a lot of things where it takes you a little bit of time to sort of piece it all together, doesn't it?
Yeah. I was so used to like waking up and going to the rink at 8:39 in the morning, like practice at 11 to 12:30, workout, and then go play golf the rest of the day. Now now I'm working 9 to 5 and like then commuting to practice for an evening night practice and then commuting home and getting home late. So yeah, it's just quite different. And I think it really took me those first couple months kind of figuring out how to balance it all to really put it together to where I could perform at my peak as consistently as possible.
Mm. Yeah, and obviously the evidence was there. Certainly towards the end of the season, that was a great run the team put together, and it's just a shame to sort of lose it the sort of the final hurdle, as it were, at the in Coventry. But I mean, that must have been quite an experience as well for you, right?
Yeah, it was good. That's like since my second year at university, that's the farthest I've ever gone in a season. So that was a really good experience. I thought we like really showed kind of that team mentality and tenacity can outplay what you're expected to in like skill level sometimes. I think there was a lot of people that didn't think we would beat Swindon or didn't think that we would make it through overhaul. um, and I think just like our team culture in that locker room and that everybody wanted to do it together is kind of ultimately what drove that there. Not necessarily that we were the most skilled team. I think we just played really well together, played really hard. And that's what drove us that way. And it was a really good experience to kind of get to Coventry, that nice big loud building. It was kind of cool to see like fans from all the different teams because that was a new experience for me as well, not just the two sides. So it truly was like two games that didn't necessarily feel like a home or away game. Um, so yeah, it was good and definitely gave some learning points for going into this season on what to expect and how to perform and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I think people love Coventry so much. It's a real hockey festival right at the end of the season when
Yeah,
there's
you can
something
really
big on
feel
the
that.
line as well.
Can really feel that everybody's there for the hockey, which is really cool.
Definitely. Well, let's go to one final question we've got here, and I wanted to save this one because I thought it'd be quite interesting. Stephen Browning asks, which game that you've played in do you feel has been the most memorable in your career to date?
That's a good one. I've played like so many different places, so many different games, so many different arenas, like leagues and everything. Um, I probably have three that end up in like my top three most memorable. They're all from university, and weirdly enough, they're all against the same school. So my first one is my second year of university. We started getting like really hot towards the second half of the season, and we were playing Notre Dame, who was the number one team in the country at the time. We played in Notre Dame on Friday, and then at Michigan on Sunday. We ended up beating them both games, um, as they were number one. I think we were like 17th or 18th in the country at the time. We beat them Sunday at home 1-0, which was just like such a cool experience because it was like beating the number one team in the country two nights in a row, like shutout at home against them. So that was really really cool. The second one, the next year we played Notre Dame in an outdoor game at Notre Dame's American Football Stadium. So we got to play in front of like 20,000 people underneath the lights outside. I think it was like end of January, early February, maybe early January. But that was just like a really cool atmosphere setting. It was just like such a cool experience. All the stuff you see from like the Winter Classics and stuff, we got to do that. So that was such a privilege. And then my last memorable game is not a good one. We lost to Notre Dame in the semifinals of the national championship. They scored on a 2-on-1 with like 4 seconds left in the game. Um, broadcast on national television. I'm pretty sure I cried like while they were reviewing the goal to check if it actually went in time. And so that was just like kind of a bummer. But looking back at it, it's like I learned so much from that, like about myself, and just getting to go that far is more than most people get to do. So it was a cool experience, even though in the time it was not so happy.
Of course. I guess that's the thing, isn't it, though? Those are experiences that you can take and help you hopefully to push on to overcome the final hurdle and get to the, win the championship or win the trophy.
Yeah.
It might be, yeah.
Yeah, so it's still a really cool experience. And somebody's got to lose. It's sports, so it sucks to be on that losing end. Obviously, we never want to, but it happens.
Exactly. Well, that's all I've got really for you. Thank you, Hayden. I appreciate the time you've taken, and we look forward to seeing you in a few weeks when I think the guys will be back in training and back on the ice, and we're meeting Ash soon as well. So there's a whole bunch of stuff coming up now, and obviously, we've got other events before the season starts, and of course the pre-season with the guys from France, the Nuit Saman coming over as well. So that should be fun.
Yeah, that'll be cool. I'm interested to kind of see the caliber there and see how those games go. I think that'll be a fun experience as well.
For sure. All right. Well, thank you very much for again, I say, for the time and answering some questions, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, cheers, man. Thanks a lot. I'll see you in a few weeks.
So that was Hayden Lavigne. Pretty interesting chat. Did your question get asked? If you submitted one and we didn't use it, I apologise, but make sure you keep trying, as there'll be lots of opportunities through the season to get your question asked. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel to keep up with the content, and want to also leave a comment below telling us who you want us to interview next and what you'd ask them. Again, big thanks to our sponsor Wendy's, who keep us fueled up on game days and beyond. The games get underway on the 6th of September with our pre-season fixtures against French side Nuit Saman. Also, we have the Supporters Club Barbecue Day at the White Hart in Ufford on Saturday 16th of August, so get yourself over there to meet some of the players. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.